Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com.
May a woman write a Megillah? Is a Megillah written by a woman kosher? Can it be used to be read from by the congregation? For men, for women on Purim? Can she begin entering the occupation of Megillah writing and selling her Megillahs and making money just like Seifrim do? So many may initially think, of course a woman cannot write a Megillah. First of all, we've never heard of women doing such a thing. And second of all, women are invalid to write Sifrei Torah, to write Stam. So how can they write a Megillah? So while it is true that women are invalid to write a Sefer Torah, Tefillin, and are likewise invalid to write a mezuzah, that is due to specific drashas, expoundations from Scripture, which exempt women from either the mitzvah and hence the writing, or simply the writing. However, if there is lack of a source to explicitly exempt women from writing the Megillah, or invalidate them from writing the Megillah, then an argument can be made that indeed they are kosher to write it, as we lack a scriptural source, and they are obligated in the mitzvah of hearing Megillah. And thus, consequently, it should be that just as they are obligated to hear it, so too they are valid to write it. So what do the poskim have to say about this question? So indeed, a number of poskim take the position that while this may sound revolutionary or unpopular, women are valid even initially to write a Megillah. And you're allowed to take a Megillah written by a woman and read it in public on Purim by a men's minyan, as women are chayiv in the mitzvah, so it's not like tefillin, writing that women are exempt because they're exempt from the mitzvah of tefillin. And it's not like Sefer Torah and Mezuzah, of which is a special scriptural source to exempt them. Furthermore, the first Megillah was written by a lady, Esther Amalka, the pasuk says, V'yichteiv Esther. And the Gemara in Megillah on page 19a expounds a number of teachings and halachic rulings based on this. So certainly a woman is even initially valid to write a Megillah. Who rules this way? So rules the Chidah in Birkei Yosef, chapter 691, halacha 6, based on the ruling of the Pri Chadash and the Mata Yehuda, who permit writing with the left hand, and therefore he says, you see, the same rules of Stam don't apply to Megillah writing, and therefore a woman is valid. And so he also rules in his Sefer Machzik Bracha. So rules the Beis Ovid on page 169. So rules the Pri Megadim in 691 Mishpah Zav 2 and other Achreidim. However, as you may have expected, not everyone agrees to this position. You have a number of poskim who argue on the proofs of the Chidah and state, chas v'shalom, it is absolutely forbidden and invalid for a woman to write a Megillah, as women are invalid from all stam. From mezuzah, from tefillin, from Sefer Torah, all scriptural writing they are invalid to write. How can you suddenly permit them to write scriptural writing without an explicit source that allows them? So while the first approach says you need an explicit source to forbid, and we don't have one so it's permitted, the second approach says you need an explicit source to permit, and since we don't have one, it's forbidden. Who rules like this second opinion? So rules Masei Rekeach on the Rambam, Hilchos Megillah chapter 1, the Sefer Melech Shamayim, Hilchos Stam chapter 24. Rav Akiva Eiger in chapter 691 writes that a woman is invalid to write a Megillah, just like she's invalid for Tefillin, and the Avnei Nezer in the Tshuva in 516. Note 19 writes that if only all our Torah laws would be as clear as the ruling here that women are invalid to write a Megillah. So we see that indeed the writing of a Megillah by a woman is a deep machlekes amongst the poskim, and therefore practically it is not done and is not to be done. And so is the widespread custom that women do not write Megillahs and certainly do not sell them to the public and have them enter a big machlekes if you can even be yetzer with them or say a bracha on them. However, in the event that a woman decided to write her own Megillah for whatever reason, she's not using it but she wanted to write it, and she wrote it and it's kosher from the other aspects of writing, and there's no other Megillah available in the vicinity, then the Sharei Tshuva concludes that you should read it without a bracha, as perhaps you like the approach who says that you can be yetzer with the Megillah written by a woman. Nonetheless, if afterwards a male written Megillah becomes available, you should reread the Megillah from the male written Megillah without a blessing, just in case you weren't yetzer, as rule the second approach, that the Megillah is invalid. So to summarize, it is a major debate amongst the poskim if a Megillah written by a woman is valid or not. Practically, we rule that it should not be used unless there is no other Megillah available, in which case it should be read without a blessing. And if another male written Megillah becomes available afterwards, you should reread it without a blessing.
Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com. Our free services of making Torah knowledge available to the public depends on donors like you. Please help us continue our work through making even a small contribution at Shulchanaruchharav.com under the Daily Halacha Dedication section or in the subscription page. Also, check out our online courses and many sefarim available for purchase that will both enhance your Torah knowledge and help support our work.